It was near dusk when Eli Navarro took his last delivery of the day. The order was a single food item, 2 large cheeseburgers. No drink, no sides, headed to a location on the edge of town. The address, handwritten in the app, was unfamiliar. To him, the neighborhood it led to was strange. Houses spaced far apart, some clearly abandoned. Weeds stretching up to broken windows. But Eli had seen worse. College prank orders. Rural roads that ended in goats. He wasn't easily spooked still. Something about the place rubbed him the wrong way. He pulled his scooter up to a crumbling driveway. The concrete cracked and half swallowed by the earth. The house itself was 2 stories. Shutters hanging loosely, no lights on. A rusted swing. Creaked in the wind out front. No car in the driveway. Eli checked the order. Drop off. Hand to customer. He stepped onto the porch and rang the bell. Nothing. He knocked twice. Hard? Hello? Food delivery. Silence. He glanced back at his scooter. The air felt too still. No birds, no crickets, just wind. The sun had nearly vanished behind a line of trees, leaving long shadows in its wake. He knocked again, this time louder. Suddenly, he heard movement. From the second floor, footsteps. Eli took a cautious step back, looking up toward the windows. A curtain twitched. He was sure of it. "Hey," he called, forcing a casual tone. "Your food's here." Nothing then, faintly. A whisper, not a word, just a soft sound. And then, crack. A massive concrete stone crashed down onto the porch from above, splintering the railing and smashing into the wooden floorboards, not 3 feet from where. Eli stood. He stumbled back in shock, falling off the porch and landing hard on his side. His heart was racing. He scrambled to his feet. Someone had tried to kill him. He didn't wait for a second attempt. Eli sprinted toward his scooter, snatching his helmet from the handlebar. But just before he could start the engine, something made him pause. There was no one at the second floor window. No movement, no sound, and yet he couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. He pulled out his phone and dialed 911 with shaking fingers. "Yes, hi, someone just tried to drop a stone on me at this house. I was making a delivery. There's no one answering, but I saw movement upstairs, and no one's here now. I think I saw a curtain move. I think it was on purpose." The operator told him to stay nearby, but not approach the house again. A unit would be there within 10 minutes. Eli backed his scooter toward the street, never taking his eyes off the front door. And that's when he noticed something that chilled his blood. There was no order history for the house on the app anymore. The address was gone. The ticket vanished, as if it was never placed. He checked his map. The house, the entire street, was now listed as no service zone. He stared at the burgers in the bag, still warm, still real. Then the sound of tires on gravel brought relief. 2 patrol cars pulled in, lights flashing. Officers stepped out and approached cautiously. Eli explained everything. One officer took notes. The other circled the house. House was foreclosed 2 years ago. The older cop said, "No one's lived here since." "There was someone here," Eli insisted. "I heard them upstairs. Something moved, and that stone." They both looked at the shattered porch. "Yeah, you weren't imagining that." They Officers searched the property, top to bottom. Inside, they found signs of recent entry, dusty footprints on the floor. A candle stub burned out in the upstairs hallway, but no one else was inside. A single room upstairs had a mattress and an empty soup can. Someone had been squatting there, but it looked like they fled quickly. "We'll open a file," one officer said, "but odds are it was just some drifter trying to scare you off." Or worse, Eli gave his full statement. Before leaving, he handed them the burger bag. He didn't want to keep it. He got on his scooter, still shaken, and sped off toward the lights of town. That night, Eli couldn't sleep. The way the curtain moved, the perfect timing of the falling stone, the erased order. The next morning, he got a call. It was from the police. They had found someone, a man living out of an old storm drain, not far. From the abandoned house, he had bruises on his arms, bits of plaster dust in his hair. He confessed to being in the house. He had placed the fake order using a spoofed number, hoping to lure someone there, not to rob them, not even for food. He just wanted someone to suffer. Apparently, he believed the house was his, and that anyone who stepped on the porch deserved to die for invading his space. He'd failed before, they said, using traps that never triggered, until Eli, but Eli survived. Days later, Eli returned to deliveries, more cautious now, but something had changed in him. A sharper edge, a sense that not every house was just a building with walls and lights. Some places were waiting, and some people didn't just place orders, they laid traps. But Eli knew one thing for certain. He'd trust his instincts next time, and never step on a porch without looking up first. I was 17 the summer it happened. My parents had been invited on a week-long cruise by my dad's boss, some corporate reward thing. It was strange because they never really traveled. They were homebodies, the kind of people who spent weekends fixing faucets or watching documentaries. But this time, they were actually excited. I, on the other hand, was left behind. We lived in a quiet town just outside Longview, Washington, surrounded by thick pine forests and narrow, winding roads. Our house sat on a property with no nearby neighbors, just trees and silence. It was peaceful during the day. At night, it was something else entirely. It was mid-July warm, clear evenings, long shadows, and still air. The kind of summer night that feels endless. On Thursday night, 4 days into being alone, I stepped out onto our stone patio with a can of soda in one hand and my speaker in the other. The patio overlooked the backyard, and just beyond that, the forest began tall. Trees packed tight like a green wall. I set the speaker on the table, leaned back in the outdoor chair, and turned the music up. I was halfway through a playlist, lost in the rhythm, when I thought I heard something, a voice distant, almost swallowed. By the music, I paused it. Silence, I looked around. No wind, no animals, just stillness. Shrugging it off, I resumed the music. Then it happened again, this time louder. A man's voice from the woods. I turned the speaker off completely. "Hey," the voice called. "Over here." I stood slowly, my eyes locked on the tree line. The forest was about 30 yards away. The voice wasn't yelling, but it wasn't whispering. Either it was calm, too calm. At first, I figured it might be a hiker or someone who got turned around. The forest stretched for miles, but some parts did connect to trails a few miles down. Then it called again, "We need help." That's when the unease started to sink in. Something about the way he said it didn't sound right. There was no urgency in his tone, no panic. Still, I called out, "Who is that?" A few seconds passed, then came the reply, "Right in front of you. Please come help us." I blinked right in front of me. I squinted into the shadows between the trees. Nothing, just black shapes and branches. Whoever it was, they could see me, but I couldn't see them. My heart rate started climbing. "What's wrong?" I called. "Are you hurt?" The response came instantly. "Just come please straight ahead." Now I was frozen. That line, it wasn't natural. It was like a recording or someone playing a role. There was no detail, no explanation. I stayed quiet, waiting. "Please," the voice repeated. "Straight in front of you, I can see you." That was it. I stepped back, heart pounding. If he could see me clearly from the woods, he had to be standing right at the edge, or worse, already halfway into the yard. I shouted back, "Are you alone?" "No." Reply. That silence told me everything. I turned and started backing up toward the patio door. I didn't want to turn my back until I was safe inside. Every instinct in me said something was wrong. That voice didn't want help. It wanted something else. Once inside, I locked the door, pulled the blinds, and sat down on the couch, staring. At the backyard through a small gap in the curtain, nothing moved. 10 minutes passed, maybe more. I tried to calm down. Maybe it was someone lost or messing around. Maybe they left. When I didn't respond, then I heard something again. Not from the woods, from the backyard. It was the same voice, closer now. And then water, splash. We had a small decorative fountain out back. No one else was supposed to be there. I stood slowly and crept to the window. I peeked through the blinds. At first, I saw nothing then. A shape shifted behind the large flower planter. Someone was crouching low. I could see the top of their head, short dark hair. Then he spoke again. "I see you," he laughed, a low, scratchy laugh. That made my skin crawl. I stumbled back from the window and closed the blinds completely. My hands were shaking now. This wasn't a joke. This was real. I grabbed the house phone. I didn't want to call 911 yet. I didn't know if that would escalate things. Maybe if I didn't react, he'd get bored. Maybe he'd leave. But then the window slammed. A loud, sudden bang from the same glass I had just backed away from. Then the voice screamed, "Help! Help me!" The tone had changed. It was aggressive. Now desperate, but not in the way someone in real danger sounds. It was almost mocking. I shouted as loud as I could, "Go away. I'm calling the police." I repeated it over and over, trying to sound confident, louder than the fear in my voice. From outside, I heard more laughter, soft, fading, then footsteps, retreating. I stood there, frozen, waiting for another sound. None came. I stayed up for hours, peeking through the blinds every few minutes. I never saw him again that night. Eventually, exhaustion won. I locked myself in my room, turned off all the lights, and fell asleep with my heart still racing. The next morning, the backyard looked undisturbed, except for the dirt near the fountain. Faint shoe prints, not mine. I never told my parents. I wasn't sure what I'd even say. Hey, while you were gone, a man came out of the woods and tried to scare me. They'd think I was exaggerating, but I know what I heard. I know what I saw. Someone was out there. Someone knew I was alone, and they didn't want help. Tyler Vaughn wasn't the kind of guy who believed in ghosts. He believed in unlocked doors, faulty alarms, and creeps who knew how to slip into homes unnoticed. But ghosts? No, not until that day. It was a slow Saturday. He was home alone. Parents were away visiting relatives in another city. His sister was out with her friends. Tyler had the whole house to himself. Around 5 p.m. he was outside, shooting hoops in the driveway, earbuds in, music low. He paused to wipe sweat from his face. That's when he felt it, a pressure, like being watched. He glanced at the street empty, then turned toward the house and froze. Someone was in the upstairs lounge window. A woman. She stood completely still behind the curtain, her skin pale, lips slightly parted, and her eyes locked right on his. Not blinking, not swaying, just watching. Tyler ripped his earbuds out, heart spiking. He looked again. She was gone. He didn't hesitate, ran up the front steps, flung the door open, and took the stairs 2 at a time. "Hello?" he shouted. "Hey, who's there?" No response. The upstairs was silent. He checked the lounge first, the room where he'd seen her. Curtains swayed slightly from the breeze. Window was still shut. No footprints, nothing out of place. He opened every door. His room, his sister's. The guest room, checked under the beds, even the closets, empty. Downstairs, the same. Kitchen untouched, living room silent, back door locked. Maybe it had been a reflection, his own face. He told himself that, but something in his gut whispered otherwise. He remembered the way she stared. That wasn't something your brain just imagined. Trying to be rational, he returned to the driveway, picked up his basketball, and forced himself to keep playing. But after 5 minutes, he couldn't concentrate. He went back inside, locked every door and window, double-checked the basement. Nothing. Still. Unease sat in his chest like a brick. That night, Tyler set up camp in the living room. TV on, lights low. He didn't want to be upstairs alone. He kept glancing at the staircase, expecting movement, a shadow, something. Around 11:30 p.m., just as he was dozing off, the power flickered, then cut out completely. The house went black. The hum of appliances, the soft buzz of the TV, all silenced. Tyler sat up. Nope. He grabbed his phone, turned on the flashlight, and headed toward the fuse box in the laundry room. Halfway there, something creaked upstairs. He froze, another sound, slow, deliberate footsteps above him. He knew he should run, but he didn't. He crept toward the staircase, phone shaking slightly in his hand, light aimed upward. The steps creaked, the light shifted. A silhouette appeared at the top, long hair, bare feet, eyes shining in the beam. Her. "Who the hell are you?" Tyler yelled. She didn't answer, just started descending slowly, deliberately. Tyler bolted, not upstairs, not toward her. Straight outside, he didn't stop until he was in the middle of the street. Gasping, phone in one hand, barefoot, he called. The police. By the time they arrived 10 minutes later, she was gone. They searched the house, top to bottom, nothing but the back door. It was unlocked. He knew he'd locked it. The officer took notes, but it was clear they didn't fully believe him. No signs of forced entry, no fingerprints. They suggested maybe it was a dream, or someone playing a prank. Tyler barely slept, but the next night, she came back. Not in the window, not on the stairs this time. She was under his bed. Tyler had decided, against his instincts, to sleep in his own room. Doors locked, lights off, just trying to feel normal. It was 2:17 a.m. when he heard it, a faint breathing. Coming from inches below him, he froze, didn't move, just listened. She, shallow, rhythmic, wet. He slid his hand off the mattress, grabbed his phone, turned the flashlight on, and leaned over the side of the bed. Her face was inches from his, eyes wide. Grinning, he screamed, rolled backward, fell onto the floor. She dragged herself out. Her fingers clawed at the carpet as she pulled her entire body forward. Like something that didn't understand how to walk. Tyler kicked her hard, and she shrieked, inhuman, furious. He grabbed the lamp from his nightstand and smashed it over her back. She barely flinched, just hissed, and launched at him again. He ran downstairs, out the front door, screaming the whole way, and there, standing, outside in a robe, was Mr. Lennox, his neighbor, a retired firer in his 60s, stocky and sharp-eyed. "What the hell? She's inside." Tyler shouted. "She was under my bed." Lennox didn't question, just followed him in, carrying a metal flashlight like a weapon. The woman was still there, now crawling down the stairs, shrieking, twitching like a broken puppet. Together, they pinned her. She fought, bit, clawed, but Lennox was strong. He held her while Tyler dialed 911. When the cops arrived, their expressions changed the second they saw her. "Karen Miller," one officer muttered. Again. Apparently, she had a history, had been institutionalized once, known for breaking into homes, hiding under beds, even watching people for hours before attacking. But she'd never been this violent. Tyler watched from the porch as they cuffed her and led her into the back of the car. Her head turned slowly toward him, and she smiled. It was the same smile he'd seen in the flashlight beam, the one that would wake him in nightmares for weeks. His parents rushed home the next day. Locks were changed. Security cameras installed. A therapist was scheduled. But Tyler didn't need therapy. He needed closure, and strangely he felt it, because he caught her, whatever Karen was, monster or madwoman. She didn't win, and that mattered.